something massive just hit women's basketball. Alyssa Thomas, one of the toughest, most respected stars in the WNBA, has officially joined Project B, the mysterious new overseas league that's shaking the entire basketball world. And let me tell you, the ripple effects are already hitting the W hard. This isn't just a casual side gig. Project B is being called the world's next basketball revolution, with whispers of Saudi-backed funding, multi-million-dollar contracts.
I think this is hilarious. This Project B, other basketball league, this 6-team, 11-player league that is deemed to be crowning a world champion at some point, an off-season league that Front Office Sports came out and said, talked to the founder, oh, it's not funded by the Saudis. Well, wait a minute. Y'all have had 6 or 8 months now. You could have put that story. You could put a fire on a water on that fire.
And an open mission to crown a world champion. And now, with a player like Alyssa Thomas joining, this thing just got real. But here's where it gets wild, because behind this move, there's another storyline that's got everybody talking. Caitlin Clark, the rookie phenom who carried ratings, rewrote attendance numbers, and put the WNBA back on the map, is suddenly being linked to an overseas offer that could redefine women's sports forever.
Of that story, but no, you didn't. This whole time, it was out there everywhere that it was this Saudi public investment fund that was involved in the league. Founder comes out and says, "Oh, we're not taking money from them, but we are giving money. We are giving money to Sela, which is an event planning company that's owned by the Saudis." So, okay, you're not funded, but you're just giving them money. Well, which is worse? And again, I could care less that this is a Saudi league. I don't care.
We're talking about a potential deal in the tens of millions, 2 years, $50 million. That's generational wealth. That's more than she could make in 15 seasons in the WNBA. And now the question is hanging in the air like a buzzer beater. Will Caitlin Clark follow Alyssa Thomas overseas? And if she does, what happens to the WNBA as we know it? Project B just flipped the script on women's basketball.
It's because this has been an activist basketball league full of LGBTQ stars like Alyssa Thomas, who said, "I'm grabbing the bag and going to Project B." This is hilarious. We'll get to Caitlin Clark, all right, in all of this in a minute, because my boy Ken Swift online put something up. A lot of people are pushing back on him, and I think he cannot be more right.
The same league that's been begging for higher pay might now face a rival that can actually pay what its players are worth. So buckle up, because we're diving deep into how Alyssa Thomas's shocking move could open the door for Caitlin Clark's biggest decision yet. This isn't just another off-season story. This could be the beginning of a basketball war. This is Her Hoops, where we don't sugarcoat it. We break it all the way down. Let's rewind this story for a second, because Project B didn't just appear out of nowhere.
Okay, because if they want to be seen on TV, we all know that's the one to get. All the Angel Reeses in the world don't make a tinker's dam when it comes to drawing ratings. We've seen that. WNBA MVP finalist. They got a former MVP and an MVP finalist now in Project B officially. Alyssa Thomas on Tuesday became the second player to join Project B. I bet you she's been with them.
Talk of a brand new global league being built from the ground up. A league that promised real money, player ownership, and total control. A league that would finally do what the WNBA hasn't been able to do in nearly 3 decades. Pay its stars like stars. At first, everyone laughed it off. Another off-season league? It'll never last. But then, reports dropped. Contracts starting at $2 million.
The new women's basketball league is expected to begin in Europe and Asia November of 2026. The Phoenix Mercury star announced her decision on social media a week after Nike Agumake told the AP that she would be playing in a new league offering players higher salaries and an equity stake. Alyssa is the kind of player and person you build around. Really? Okay. Project B Chief Basketball Officer Alana Barrett told the AP.
Multi-year deals worth $10 million, equity stakes, global sponsors waiting in line, and now Alyssa Thomas has stepped through the door, confirming the rumors are no longer rumors. Here's the crazy part. The league's funding remains a mystery. The founders claim they're not backed by Saudi investors, yet somehow the event management company handling operations is owned by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. So you tell me, is that not funded? Or is that just a clever technicality? Either way, the money's real, the vision's real, and now the faces of women's basketball, the same ones who have spent years fighting for fair pay and equality, are about to make some very tough decisions. Alyssa Thomas, 33, known for her relentless drive and fearless play, isn't exactly chasing clout at this point in her career. She's chasing respect and maybe, just maybe, a final big payday that the WNBA could never offer. But the bigger shock isn't that she joined, it's who might be next, because if Caitlin Clark, the most marketable player women's basketball has ever seen, even entertains a Project B offer, it would send shockwaves through every WNBA locker room, boardroom, and broadcast deal. And with Project B's first season set for late 2026, that clock is already ticking. This isn't just a new league forming overseas. This feels like a power shift, a direct challenge to the WNBA's throne. Let's break down what's really happening here, because this isn't just a player signing, this is chess, big-time chess. Project B isn't trying to coexist with the WNBA, it's trying to outbid it. The math tells the whole story. The average WNBA salary sits around $120,000 to $150,000. The max contract? About $250,000. Meanwhile, Project B is walking in the door offering a minimum of $2 million per player. Minimum! That's not a pay raise, that's a pay explosion. And it's not just the money. Project B is dangling equity stakes, brand partnerships, and a global platform across Europe and Asia. This isn't a side hustle, it's a statement. We can do what the WNBA won't. Now add Alyssa Thomas to that equation, a WNBA MVP finalist, one of the league's most respected veterans, known for her grit and leadership. When she joins, it tells younger players something huge. This isn't a gimmick, this is legit. And then there's Caitlin Clark, the wild card that could tip the balance completely. Let's say Project B comes knocking with a 2-year, $50 million offer. You think she'd say no? That's $25 million per year. For context, that's more than what Stephen Curry made in his first MVP season with the Warriors. And here's the irony. Caitlin has already lifted the WNBA to record ratings, ticket sales, and merchandise numbers. She's done everything the league needed. But the WNBA's salary cap system can't even begin to match her worth. So, if another league offers her true superstar money, what's her incentive to stay loyal to a system that's never paid her like one? If Caitlin Clark signs with Project B, even for one season, it would instantly make that league must-watch TV. Broadcast networks would line up, sponsors would flood in, and the WNBA? It would suddenly feel small. Alyssa Thomas opened the door. Caitlin Clark could blow it off its hinges. Now, here's where things start to boil over, because Project B isn't just dangling money. It's exposing the cracks the WNBA's been trying to cover for years. Let's be honest, for all the progress, the WNBA is still trapped between activism, politics, and business. It's built its brand around social justice and identity, but when it comes to financial growth, it's still crawling. Players demanded equal pay. Now Project B's walking in saying, "Fine, we'll give it to you, and more." And that's where the tension explodes, because some of the WNBA's loudest voices, including those who've spoken out against certain politics or who've built reputations around activism, are now silent. Silent because the bag is too big to ignore. Alyssa Thomas joining Project B isn't just a move, it's a mirror. It's showing players exactly how far they're willing to bend their principles when millions are on the line. And the truth? Most fans don't blame them one bit. But make no mistake, the optics are brutal. The same league that spent years standing on moral high ground might soon lose its stars to a global operation with Saudi money somewhere in the mix. You can already hear the headlines. WNBA activists cash in overseas. Money talks louder than movements. And then comes Caitlin Clark, the league's cleanest, most marketable star. If she joins Project B, it won't just be about money. It'll be about momentum. Imagine the backlash. Imagine the debate. The WNBA loses its biggest ratings magnet, and suddenly the same fans who said she doesn't deserve special treatment are begging her to come back. Because when Caitlin leaves, the viewers leave with her. And without viewers, sponsors vanish. TV deals shrink. The progress the WNBA fought for starts crumbling from within. Project B doesn't have to destroy the WNBA. It just has to outshine it. And right now, with every signing, every headline, and every rumor, it's doing exactly that. Let's dig deeper into why Project B is such a threat, and why this moment could redefine women's basketball forever. For decades, the WNBA's offseason meant one thing: survival. Players heading overseas to play in Russia, Turkey, or China, just to make enough to cover what their WNBA contracts couldn't. Some made double or triple their WNBA paychecks just by crossing the ocean. It's been an open secret. The best players don't rest in the offseason. They hustle. But Project B changes the entire formula. It's not just another overseas team. It's a global league structured from day one to compete directly with the WNBA. And it's backed by serious investors, the kind with pockets deep enough to make NBA execs nervous. They're offering equity, meaning players aren't just signing contracts, they're buying into ownership. They get a piece of the pie. That's unheard of in women's basketball. And now with Alyssa Thomas on board, a proven star, MVP finalist, and respected leader, it's clear Project B isn't just signing random talent. They're building credibility. But the biggest wildcard remains Caitlin Clark. She's not just a player, she's a walking brand, a cultural force. If Project B lands her, it's not just getting a star, it's getting the star. And imagine the ripple effects. Nike or Adidas cutting her a global endorsement tied to the new league. European arenas packed out for her debut. Millions of fans streaming games just to watch her shoot logo threes under a different banner. And here's the kicker. She wouldn't even have to leave the WNBA. Project B could be an off-season league, letting players double dip, play both seasons, and make 10 times the income. So picture this: Caitlin Clark staying loyal and getting rich, playing in the WNBA and representing women's basketball on a global stage. It's the best of both worlds, and that's what terrifies WNBA executives the most. Because if the best players realize they can have both the platform and the paycheck, then suddenly the WNBA doesn't control the narrative anymore. The players do. This is where the story expands beyond basketball, because what's happening with Project B isn't just a sports story anymore. It's a power story. For the first time, women's basketball players are realizing they don't need to wait for a league to value them. They can create that value elsewhere. And that's exactly what's shaking the WNBA to its core. Think about what this means culturally. The WNBA has fought for years to define itself as the home for women's basketball, the ultimate stage. But now, a global league is saying, "We'll make a bigger one, and we'll pay you like professionals, not projects." That's a message that hits deep. Because, let's face it, women's basketball has always been boxed in by the business side. The WNBA preaches empowerment, but most players still need side hustles, overseas gigs, or brand deals just to stay afloat. Project B is flipping that script completely. And when Alyssa Thomas, one of the league's strongest voices, joins, it's symbolic. She's saying, "I'm done waiting." She's saying, "I'm worth more." That decision sends a message to everyone watching, from rookies like Angel Reese and Cameron Brink to international stars and college phenoms dreaming of going pro. If the WNBA can't pay, someone else will. But the impact doesn't stop there. Networks, sponsors, and brands are already watching closely, because wherever Caitlin Clark goes, money follows. She's not just an athlete, she's an economy. If she joins Project B, that league immediately gets international coverage, marketing deals, and a fan base that stretches from Iowa to Istanbul. And if even a handful of other stars follow, like Sabrina Ionescu, Asia Wilson, or Breanna Stewart, the WNBA's talent pool gets thinner. its season less compelling, and its ratings fragile. This could ignite a full-blown arms race for women's basketball talent. WNBA versus Project B, legacy versus luxury, tradition versus transformation. And somewhere in the middle of it all stands Caitlin Clark, the one player powerful enough to decide which side wins. So here we are, at the intersection of money, power, and legacy. And women's basketball has never been here before. Alyssa Thomas just made her move. She didn't just sign with a new league, she sent a message to every athlete watching. Know your worth, and don't wait for someone else to give it to you. Project B is already shaking the ground beneath the WNBA's feet. It's global, it's rich, and it's ruthless in its ambition. But what makes it truly dangerous isn't the money, it's the momentum. Every headline, every rumor, every player who even considers joining adds more fuel to a fire that the WNBA can't easily put out. And then there's Caitlin Clark, the face of a generation, the ratings magnet, the one who made people care about women's basketball again. If Project B puts a $50 million deal in front of her, 2 years, global exposure, total creative control, it's not a question of if she should take it. It's a question of how can she not? Because this isn't just a contract, it's a shift in power. It's women's basketball saying, we don't need permission anymore. The WNBA gave Caitlin Clark a platform, but Project B might give her an empire. And whether she stays, goes, or plays both sides, the future of women's basketball will be defined by what she does next. This moment, right here, could mark the start of a new era. One where stars don't wait for opportunities, they build them. One where the spotlight follows the players, not the league. And one where her hoops means something far bigger than just a game. Because make no mistake, the world is watching. The stakes are real, and the next move could change everything. This is Her Hoops, bringing you the truth, the drama, and the power plays shaping women's basketball. If you love this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next chapter in this story, it's only getting bigger.